Hey, what is up guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today's video, well, it's another glitched money method around Tokyo. This is the third car I believe since the Tomahawk. So we had the Corvette, the Alpine, and now we have this, the Lancia Delta, in glitched form. So I want to kind of give a shout out to, I believe it's Juso. You've been self-promoting in the comments for months, so I'm going to finally give you that shout out and feature your build. I want to hope it's your build anyway. I'm going to assume it is because you do kind of comment quite a bit, you know, saying you've got this method on your channel. So give yourself a little wave and let people know where to go. Just, you know, there's your credit. But onto the actual video, I just want to kind of give a bit of a disclaimer. It's a very kind of specific part method. If you haven't got these specific parts, then it may or may not work. It's all kind of really weird with the tuning, kind of along the lines of sort of like the Alpine and the Corvette, where the tiniest thing can, you know, affect everything. So I'm going to give you my exact setup, livery, wheels, all that good stuff. And hopefully it will kind of work out for you guys. And obviously I'll go like really into detail on what parts you need. So with all that being said, let's get straight into the video. Okay, so I'm going to start off with the livery because this one catches a lot of people out, and a lot of people don't seem to realize this, but when you put a livery on and it changes kind of the wheels you've got on the car, it can even change sort of the width of wheels, aero parts and such like that, and some of them you cannot change. Luckily, you can change aero parts on this one. So I'm going to give a shout out to the creator, and you just know where to head at that point. If you want to grab this livery, he'll have it on his profile. So just look him up, grab the livery, and then I'll show you some of the parts that I've edited. So the creator is King McNico. Make sure you go and look him up, grab his Lancia livery. I believe it'll be like Nismo Rockstar or something like that. Go and check it out because I know it works with this livery. So that is pretty essential. So another essential component to this car is you need the GTR Nismo engine. Now I believe most people will have one from the roulette glitch back in the day. New players may not, and I am really sorry about that, but it is random, and I also hate how we go about acquiring engines. You also need to wide body the car. As you can see, I've got a bit of a different livery on there. I couldn't actually get it to work properly with this livery for some reason. I don't know what was the matter with it. So I did go to the Rockstar one. Aero parts, you want front at Type B. You want the side at Type A. You want the rear at Type A. And then on wing, I've gone for the standard wing as I couldn't actually get the aero down enough. So these are the wheels I'm running. However, if you use this livery, like I said, they'll come as standard and you won't need to edit anything. However, if you're going to do your own livery, make sure you've got your offset as wide. And I believe I'm running 15-inch wheels. These are on the OZ Legenda wheels. These are the one that kind of work with my car, so I would recommend heading to them. But if you do kind of get that livery, it will basically work from, they'll be on from standard, and they do work as they are on the car. So here's some of the tuning parts you need from sports. You're going to need weight reduction stage 1. Ignore the comfort mediums, by the way. They come from with the car at standard. You will not need these at all. From club sports, you want to bore up the engine. And you also want to add weight reduction stage 2. Power restrictor. And obviously ballast. Now from semi-racing, you want the racing crankshaft, fully customizable computer. And then you want weight reduction stage 3. From racing, you want stroke up, engine balance tuning, polished ports, anti-lag system, racing air filter. However, I actually took mine off to get this glitch to work. Racing silencer, racing exhaust manifold, racing brake pads, fully customizable suspension, fully customizable racing transmission, and racing hard tyres. From the extreme section, you don't actually need anything. Okay, so this is a specific tune, so follow this to a T. Feel free to pause at any moment, stick the racing hard tyres on, add your fully customizable suspension. You want the body height at the front at 110. You also want it at the rear at 110. Anti-roll bar at the front, you want it at 1. And at the rear, you want it at 10. Dampening ratio compression is 35 at the front and 35 at the back. Dampening ratio expansion is 45 at the front and 45 at the back. Natural frequency, You want this at 2.00 at the front, 2.20 at the rear. Negative camber angle, you want 0.5 at the front, 1.4 at the rear. Toe angle is 0 at the front. And this is where a lot of people kind of get tripped up with toe angles. Look at the icon, it's pointing inwards. So you want this at inwards, 0.20. Just be sure to follow that because a lot of people don't. Obviously, we're not customizing the differential for this, so nothing needed there. You want your fully customizable racing transmission in. Set that to 350. As you can see, it'll kind of up your top speed. You don't actually need to make any manual adjustments. Power restrictor is at 100. Ballast is at 40. Ballast positions at 40. The ballast is at 7. And then we want the fully customizable ECU set at 94. Downforce at the front, 59. And this is the one where the rear spoiler comes in handy. The standard at 64 at the rear. Anti-lag system, make sure you've got that on. You want it set to strong, not weak or off. You want it on strong. Air cleaner, as you can see, I actually took that off. You want racing silencer, as you can see. Exhaust manifold again, you want it at racing. You want the racing brake pads. And then here's your more like permanent mods, so I'll just go up to the top and kind of read them out. You want bore up, stroke up, engine balance tuning, polish ports. You want the racing crankshaft, weight reduction stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3. Don't increase the body rigidity, because it will really just completely, send off your performance points. You don't need anything on the flywheel either. Feel free to pause at any moment. That is a very specific tune. So it's kind of obvious where we're going to head. We're going to go over to Tokyo. It's great to see it back with some of these crazy cars again. Ever since the Tomahawk left, rest in peace 600 Tomahawk. You'll always be missed. So again, it's the World Touring Car 600 on the expressway. So just head in there and away we go. So I recommend basically having these sets assists just to start with. Set it to 5 on your traction. I recommend a manual transmission, but auto is pretty fine. Braking area on because the brakes on this are absolutely terrible, as you'll kind of see later. I'll kind of explain why they're really bad as well. And then you want your ASM on. So this is just to start with. We will be sort of chopping and changing as we go through the race. So to start with, I recommend just running at fuel mix 1. This is because this car is insanely fast in a straight line. Get as much of the slipstreams as you can and basically just work your way through the pack. Now, you will kind of realise you'll be like pretty much either overtaking first or just up behind first. A lot of the cars behind you will basically, when it comes to braking, overtake you because they can brake later than you. You cannot. Just trust me on this. Do not mess around with the braking area. Just do what it says, especially to begin with. I like to basically break Tokyo up into 3 different sections. So I actually call this the survival round. As you can see, the car is going to handle like trash. The first lap, trust me, it's awful. It's terrible. But don't judge a book by its cover, I guess. As it keeps going into lap 2, it really does just kind of get performance out of nowhere. Definitely on the first lap I was kind of judging it thinking, this is terrible, but all of a sudden lap 2 the car just came alive. Now what I'm going to do here is use a lot of throttle control and basically just being as careful as I can on the brakes and really early. I don't actually care about the AI if I block them off. How I got away with that I don't know, by the way. But basically I'm going to be blocking the AI for the majority of this lap, and even towards sort of the end of this lap they'll try and overtake me, but as soon as we kind of get on that straight, away we go. As you can see, after the straight I've set my fuel mix at 6. I'm guessing most of you would have noticed that, but I'm just going to point it out. This is because it stops the tyres kind of spinning up or kind of like throwing you off the track as much. It's pretty critical to basically run fuel mix 6 for quite a while in this race, especially while the track dries up, although it does dry up very, very fast. Most of you will know that. However, a lot of the newer players will be very unsure about kind of driving, this car or this kind of setup in the wet, because obviously we're running dry tyres. Now that braking area looks like it's a joke. It's genuinely not. This car has awful brakes. So honestly, just follow the braking area. That's why I recommend having it on, especially for your first few runs. This is actually my original run. I kind of like to get that raw feeling out there. I have since gone faster and actually, you know, come to really enjoy this car. But like I say, I mean, at first I was really frustrated with it, but it's a bit like the Corvette. The more you use it, the more you're going to get used to it. By the way, on the straights for the first few laps while you're kind of in with the AI, you want to boost your fuel mix up to 1. This will basically get you on the back of the AI again. As you're going to see, that gap is just going to drop. Just a few side notes as well. Make sure you've got AI on easy. It's completely up to you, but I'd recommend easy for money grinding. And don't worry about your clean race bonus if you get penalties and such. It's only if you overtake under yellow flags that you'll lose it. I've actually never really seen one at Tokyo. So I think no matter what, you're going to get your clean race bonus. At this point, I would actually recommend pausing the game. And I'm going to show you why. So just pause the game. Here we are. Go to your assists. And at this point, it's critical you turn ASM off, because the car will sort of feel a lot more alive. I personally much prefer the car without the assists on. So I'd recommend just turning that off, because it's sort of dried up very quickly. And you'll just realise pretty quickly that the car's got a lot more kind of movement to it. And it's a kind of a lot more, I guess, controllable and basically alive compared to when you've got that on. So just turn that off. And as you can see here, by the end of lap 2, I'm just getting myself up past the AI as he has a little breakout there. I'm going to twitch out just to try and avoid him. But we're already 16 seconds up on the outlap, so it just goes to show how fast Tokyo really does dry up. We've got him nice and easy all the way past him. And at this point, I'd recommend you sort of start thinking about going into stage 2 of the race over the next couple of laps. So keep your fuel mix at 6 and basically just power yourself through. Take it nice and steady till around about lap 4, lap 5, because that's when the strategy is going to, you know, sort of change up, and we're going to kind of change up our approach to the race in general. But we're not going to quite turn that traction control down yet either, so keep that at 5. So I would definitely say lap 3 is probably the last of the real wet laps of this. So it is actually really, you know, drying out at this point, but it's still kind of wet enough in some areas that it's kind of dangerous. However, lap 4, your strategy is going to change. You're going to go into that endurance phase where you're going to basically kind of drag out your stint as long as possible, fuel mix 6 all the time, and you're going to start wearing that, taking that traction sort of off of the car. So go from about 5 till about 3. I wouldn't recommend fully taking it off just yet on lap 4, because there's still a few kind of little damp patches out there that may kind of catch you out. But on the next lap, we are actually going to go ahead and just kind of remove that entirely. So work your way around lap 4 with around about traction control 3 or 4. It's completely up to you. I'd definitely recommend 3 though, and then we'll kind of take it off on the next lap. So let's see on the next lap. So lap 5, this is where we are fully taking it off. As you can see, we've still got it at 3. The track is pretty much dry tyre weather now. We're going to just take that off and have full control of the car. I'd 100% recommend taking it off. The car is 4-wheel drive, so when it comes to its actual handling, it's pretty fine. It's a little bit twitchy, but it does handle very, very well, and you're not at much risk of kind of spinning now with a 4-wheel drive and the pretty much dry weather tyre. You know, you're all good to kind of go. At lap 7, end of lap 7, sorry, this is when I recommend pitting. So you're going to come out of your endurance phase and go into the final phase of the race, which is kind of your sprint phase. So I wouldn't recommend, you know, changing the tyres. The hard tyres will do a full kind of race distance. However, I do recommend going all the way to the top with the fuel. This is because we're actually going to change our fuel map for the rest of the run and still have a little bit left over at the end, so we won't be at risk of running out. I ran the whole of this stint with fuel mix 1, and that's kind of what I'm going to expect you guys to do. This is where your lap times will really come tumbling down, because the track is nice and dry now. We're at max power. I will actually have to serve a penalty, so you'll see that that will not actually affect anything in the end. But definitely go for your sprint now. And as you can see, it's going to sound a bit complainy, but I'm just going to prove a point here that the brakes on this car are terrible. So for laps on end, I was just really messing up on my original run, which is this one. And yeah, not getting the car slowed down, and bang. So as you can see, 15 seconds of penalties. I believe overall I got like nearly 40 seconds worth of penalties, and it was mostly because of that corner there and the brakes on this thing. However, at the end, we're a lot more kind of in our stride, and this is going to be our fastest lap. So this is where we are finally going to get the most out of the car, you know, on the last lap. However, honestly, I recommend doing a few practice runs, and you will get faster and faster. This is my original run. Since then, I've gone about over a minute faster. So the potential is there with this glitch setup. And we're just going to come around the final corner. We're going to get finally under the 2-minute barrier as we come out of the corner, full throttle down, and we're going to win this race with a decent margin. As you can see, this is 3 seconds up on our original fastest lap, so I know we're going real quick at this point. We've had enough fuel in to sprint this whole kind of final stage of the race, the sprint bit, and we're going to come up across the line with the draft of the Aston Martin, and yeah, first place, not too bad to be honest. So overall, we ran this in 26 minutes, 26 seconds. Now, I did have about a minute worth of penalties throughout. My fastest lap was a 1:58.4. As you get used to this car, the potential is there. The creator does say it can get about 23 minutes, I believe. Now, I don't know whether that's kind of a bit inflated, but I believe, 24, 25 minutes, nice and easy with this method as you kind of get used to it. So it's 825k in around about 25 minutes, 24 minutes. So if you're still here at this point in the video, welcome to, I guess, a bit of a bonus part where I kind of just want to discuss a few things in terms of Gran Turismo and, glitch setups. Now, if I do make a setup, I am trying to be as specific as possible. That's why they kind of go on a bit longer, because they are very, very, part specific, tune specific, and it's not always the same for everyone. Most of the time it is. Sometimes you may have to fiddle with a few things yourself and it will click. Now, with the Corvette, I had to go back and actually make a video over toe angle. Now, I had to make a 2-minute video explaining that someone's toe angle was on the wrong side and you had to go just to the opposite side, and it fixed it. For the majority of people, that's where their complaint was. Now, I don't want to have to keep doing them kind of videos like a week later when people are just complaining enough. So if I do make this, the tuning sheets and stuff, be very specific, pause as much as you need to, and, just follow it to a T. Make sure you've got all the parts there before you put a comment in saying it's patched, because none of the free glitch cars are patched. So that is just kind of a heads up. So now on to, I guess, another little thing that I want to kind of touch on, and that is glitch cars in general. Now, it's kind of a love it or hate it thing, and a lot of people hate them because they're quick, and I've never understood that. Like, yes, these cars are very fast, they're very awkward to set up, but that's kind of why they're so cool. And I feel like, Gran Turismo 7 and Tokyo needs these glitch cars. That is because, like, if you look back in the days of the 600pp Tomahawk, when people were making crazy money, that is when Gran Turismo 7 was at its peak. That's when the player base was at its happiest. Now, cars like this come along and they kind of just bring that feeling back, that you are earning faster money. And a lot of people will say, well, just use a Lamborghini or something. I can do it in 26, 27 minutes. Now, yeah, you probably can. But if you think if I'm doing a run in 24 minutes in a glitch car, I'm saving myself like a whole lap per run. Now, obviously, over time, when it comes to money, within 10 runs of it, that's an extra run I've kind of, been able to put in comparison to these normal cars. And that's where you make your money with these glitch setups and glitch cars. And that's what makes them, absolutely awesome and very quick for grinding money. So I can kind of get where purists are at, but at the same time I don't, because it's a game. These setups are fun. They're really specific and really frustrating and fiddly to get set up, but at the end of the day, they are fun. So that's the end of the video. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Channel memberships are now up, so if you want to kind of donate and help the channel grow and have your tunes featured first, go ahead and join. It's, you don't have to, but it's always nice to see the support. And shout out to TicketBait, my first, I guess, official member. So yeah, I'll see you in the next one, guys. Peace.